What have you thought about Liverpool Football Club in the start of the season? Continue on some of those theories. There are a lot of interesting ideas around Liverpool at the moment, and there are a lot of things that are linked together but seem hard to kind of connect the dots. So let's try and connect some of those dots right now. Welcome back to the Laurence McKenna channel. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. We love having Liverpool fans, but we also love fans of other teams as well, because it makes the conversation more interesting. People from outside the club can see things that a lot of Liverpool fans and a lot of Liverpool interested people probably can't. And so that is where I find Liverpool so interesting this season. A lot of people are used to watching Jurgen Klopp football right now. And Jurgen Klopp football is a very specific brand of football that you have to be watching for a while. Similar to Pep Guardiola, where for years people were saying, oh, you're not seeing the things that we see, you're not seeing. There are nuances to every manager's game. And at this point, Liverpool fans, after 7 years, and by the way, the longest serving manager in the Premier League, are well versed in whatever it is that Jurgen Klopp is trying to achieve. But what Jurgen Klopp is trying to achieve is also currently in transition. And so Liverpool are transitioning away from that Mane, Firmino, Salah combination, and they have been for quite a while now, but also the same shape in midfield. And also that back line still isn't quite the way that Liverpool want it to be. And every other change is coming back through the Liverpool team and basically having a bit of a... It's like that brake test thing on a motorway, right? If you press your brakes, you can impact traffic going back miles and miles and miles just from a tap of the brakes, right? And that's because someone else brakes, then someone else brakes, then someone else brakes. And so think of the same thing going through the Liverpool team. That not only happens with tactics, but it also happens with confidence. So that is partly what I was trying to wrestle with at the start of this. You can kind of count the Carabao Cup that Liverpool sort of rolled out of, because discount that in some way, Liverpool won't want to play too far in that. They've got to focus on the league and the Champions League. Klopp didn't really care about that game. This was more of a friendly than anything else. It was closer than you thought. But there are still symptoms of what Liverpool fans and particularly Liverpool critics were complaining about at the start of the season. At the same time, there are also huge improvements. So some of the things that we would have criticised at the start of the season still seem very evident, right? One of those things is that the defence leaks a lot of chances, and there are a lot of chances given away. But then you can also caveat that with, hey, expected goals isn't the stat that you think it is. There's a cumulative element to that, and if a team has enough mediocre chances against Liverpool that Liverpool are trying to limit that team to, then, well, it looks like they're going to score more goals than they actually are. Of course, there were also periods where Villa looked very on for a goal and Liverpool looked weirdly backs against the wall, despite the fact that they weren't really being all that imposing on the game. You often get the feeling with Liverpool, if you imposed yourself on this match, yeah, things would be a lot better than they are. A hurried clearance from Trent Alexander-Arnold, ball goes up in the air, Villa score. And a lot of good work from Liverpool feels like it's beginning to come undone. And some of that good work started very early. You could see that Liverpool wanted to score early on. You could see they wanted to pull Villa out and get them to come on to Liverpool and then get the ball over the top into Darwin Nunez, get the ball out to Ox, who would then circulate it back in, and get Salah just sort of circulating around. Very often, actually, Hendo playing as the wide right winger for Liverpool, pushing Mo Salah inside. So from times, it looked like a 4-2-4, 4-4-2, other times 4-3-3. And, that's all down to phases of play, right? A lot of modern managers play 4-3-3 into a 4-4-2. But Liverpool in particular seem very conscious of what they're doing right now. This is not the inherent gut feeling Liverpool that we knew of a few years ago. And that's because they've got someone very specific up top that they seem to need to feed in a very specific way right now. And weirdly, when they aren't conscious of the way that they're feeding Darwin Nunez, the goals seem to flow a lot more. When it's not about just get the ball up there to him in a kind of get him the ball and let him score sort of way, then you see what Liverpool are trying to do. All of the good things about that fantastic set of goals that Liverpool scored tonight were all about the movement from the likes of your Salahs and your Darwin Nunez's. But that is having a ripple effect throughout the team. It's frustrating to watch. I get it. I kind of see where it's going. And this is a slow transition away from the old Liverpool team into the new Liverpool team, right? It's a slightly more hectic game for Liverpool right now, but I get the feeling that will quieten down. You remember when Klopp first came in, there was a very hectic rock and roll brand of football. And weirdly, people were sort of like bought into it at that time. The narrative was like, hey, this Liverpool side, well, they're rock and roll. So we're going to see some goals, but we're also going to see some times where they score loads and, they're going to go punch for punch. And the narrative then was that Jurgen Klopp and the guys were sort of bought in on that. But then when Liverpool became this much more like stoic, we're just going to grind out results sort of team, and they did win the league with it, and they did see some results from that, maybe we enjoyed the football a little less, but we certainly didn't enjoy the experience less. So, although maybe we did, but you get my point. Like there is this idea of like, do you want to win or do you want to win just? So, and what I mean by that is, you've got your two different sides of it here. Like Klopp, the win is getting Jurgen Klopp, but do you want to win the league? Do you want to have like a dynasty here? Because that's what Jurgen Klopp had the opportunity of, and that's what Liverpool had the opportunity of. Sadly, that may be coming to an end. We've seen, Man City playing a couple of days. They've had a long rest. And then Newcastle United are obviously coming back into it. Spurs managed to come back today. Chelsea United play tomorrow. What I'm saying is Liverpool have got a lot of competition over the last few years. They could have capitalised on that. But there is also this feeling now that they're in transition and they're watching everyone else around them also transition and get better. But the frustration at Liverpool, and the weird thing is, you can't get better if you're Liverpool than that last season that Liverpool had. Narratively. Tactically, you can improve massively. So let's talk about that. Darwin Nunez, I love him over the top of and receiving the ball there, right? Cut it back in, play with Salah. His distribution is so much better. I love that weird volley that he had in the first half. It came down, he just hit it straight at the goalkeeper. Like that could have been Liverpool 2-0 up. But at the same time, there are frustrating moments. And I get it, like it's sort of a cliche or lazy cliche. I'm like, well, it's going to be great moments, isn't it, when Salah's on the pitch and like, you never know what he's going to do you? And that's sort of why he's going. Yeah, sure, that's part of it. But he is also improving. He is not yet an £80 million player, but Liverpool spent £80 million on him because, well, let's connect some of those dots I started on at the start of the video. Jurgen Klopp had years of Moneyball. Sure, there was investment within that, but the Moneyball and the efficiency of that investment was always there. Virgil van Dijk, 75 million. Boy, did he seem like good value. Alisson, 65 million. Boy, did he seem like good value. Name any other player in there. Boy, did they seem like good value. Maybe not Keita and Ox who played today, but you still won a title with those guys. My point is, Jurgen Klopp went through years of coaching up and integrating players alongside those big investments and even giving those guys even higher ceilings that he went, our coaching is being undervalued here. We're not, or at least it should be even more valued within the system, and we should build more around that coaching. That, linked with everything else, is what's endemic at Liverpool at the moment. You see Julian Ward leaving, you see Mike Lebbers leaving, you see other allies of theirs leaving. That is because Jurgen Klopp and Pep Linders want to shape this side. They want to give Liverpool an identity that will last them on into the future, right? And that's cool. Like if you were to get Jude Bellingham through that, or you get Enzo Fernandez, or you get someone like that, maybe more like a Jude Bellingham than an Enzo, because you do think could Enzo move on at some point. But if you get some of these players in, you can complete this transition and build another dynasty for Liverpool, or at least a competitive side. Because at the moment, there are players within that team, such as Thiago, such as Henderson, such as Fabinho, who will all be moving on in the next couple of years. Thiago, age-wise, contract-wise, Liverpool need to re-up. Hendo, leadership-wise, he needs someone to replace him. He needs a figure within that side to be able to pass some of that knowledge onto. And Fabinho, well, let's face it, Liverpool have been looking for a replacement for Fabinho and even maybe lightly floating him on the market for a little while. Sadly, because we love him, we love his wife as well, we love the way that she loves the club, but we can see there are games where he's not quite at it. And it's not that you therefore hate him and you want him out the side. It's actually the opposite of that. It's that we really have a lot of affection for him and we'd love for him to be better. And actually, if anything, we're watching Fabinho through rose-tinted glasses at times. It's that, you're Fabinho though. You're really good, aren't you? And there are times where he's not being as efficient or as brilliant as he could be. And that is frustrating, I'd imagine, for the likes of Jurgen Klopp, right? The Liverpool shape is changing. The Nunez factor is a frustrating one, but also I do think he'll come good. I do think he'll improve, and I do think he'll hit his ceiling at Liverpool. It's not yet. His left foot is hugely improved. His relationship with Mo Salah is hugely improved. His relationship with the other players is hugely improved. But there may be a time and there may be games where there's a more frustrating element than this Aston Villa team, where Liverpool go, oh, sort of needed a goal there, mate. Sort of needed that to go in. And that's where people would begin to turn the screw on Nunez. So there's that. And then there's also other factors around this Liverpool side, right? Like the fact that, I mean, he's a great player, sure, but when you try and move forward with the likes of a Nunez or someone like that, you are looking to replace other players around him, right? You're looking to make the other players in the team better. 2 players who came on today will be moving on. 2 players who came on could be the future of the Liverpool squad. The 2 players that are moving on, Ox and Keita. Cool. Ox had a decent game today. The 2 players that will be replacing them, Harvey Elliott and Stefan Bajcetic, who got his goal. He is a fantastic player. He's a player that when I watched him, when was the first time I watched him? It would have been in pre-season, and you just sort of go, was it pre-season? It was a game early on in the season when I basically went, wow, that kid his passing range is great, his movement is fantastic. You can see tonight his level of thought is just that of a Premier League player, but there's probably the physical building he needs to do. And then he needs someone alongside him, right? He needs a couple of people alongside him. This Liverpool team is to be rebuilt, retooled over these next few years. And there are times where you just think, if you're a top player, it must be incredibly exciting to want to go to Liverpool. There's people you can link up with. There's a great culture at the club. There's Jurgen Klopp as a manager. Can you be that player? Like, if you're watching that as a player, right? You're watching that as a football player today. You're going, wow, like, I could be the player that helps solidify that midfield. That's also a huge responsibility at Liverpool, and also a very high bar because of the way that previous team played. But wow, what could I be at that club? You're also thinking then, though, in the next few years, they need to replace Joe Gomez, Joel Matip, Virgil van Dijk, not really Konate, but the other 3 will need rotating. Alisson, if he sticks around, is fantastic. Andy Robertson may have to move on at some point. I mean, he was amazing again today, and he's probably at that kind of peak plateau part of his career now. And then Trent, sure, I'd love to link up with him. And then in the front line, who will they have? Will it be Luis Diaz in time? Will there be someone else exciting in attack? We're going to find out. What I'm saying is, this transitional side is currently being judged by some of the results under this new system under Klopp. I know they've had some time to coach this side, but not the 8 players that went away to the World Cup who were so key to everything that Liverpool do. Maybe there's some other really good players in there, but I don't feel they were the problem. So I get it. There is a transition here. But I'm going to say this. I'll conclude the video like this. I think today, Liverpool conceded chances that earlier on in the season they would have conceded. And that comes down to chance. That comes down to you're just banking on the opposition striker not finishing it. I get it. You can put him off. I get it. You can be intense. You can make the game worse. And it is winning by these very small margins that sometimes add up continuously and make Liverpool an intense, terrible side to play, which they are, right? And that's what you can see they're trying to get back to. But there are also margins where you can see they're fortunate that those margins are currently that wide between them and the other sides. And the issue for Liverpool is in previous seasons, there weren't really that many people competing with them. Now, there's Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool are within that set, although if not slightly below, Manchester United, Chelsea, Spurs, depends on the Conte outcome, but still Spurs, Newcastle United, add more names into that. There are more and more names that are getting more and more competitive within the league. And I get it, like, that's cool, but my point is, this side is transitioning and they are still conceding a lot of these silly chances. There are still a lot of crazy things happening during the game. I think it was, what was the word they used in the commentary? It was like berserk or something like that. It was bamboozling at times to watch because you're watching going, why aren't they controlling this game? What is the tactic here? I get it, like you get the actual tactics, but like, why are we allowing Villa into this? Why is it that Aston Villa are being allowed this kind of space, this kind of time, everything? Confusing. And I'd imagine that a Jurgen Klopp supporter, and if Jurgen Klopp watched this video, he'd be able to break it down in private and go, bang, 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 here's what I'm doing, and here's my 5-point plan as to where Liverpool are going in the next 5 years. But at the moment, we are seeing marginal improvements when I think over the last month, people thought they'd see huge leaps. But what we can't do is judge this Liverpool team by the old Liverpool team. I've made a video already. The old Liverpool is dead. But that's a good thing for this current Liverpool side. You do not want to be a continuation of that side. You want to be your own team. You want to be a proper rebuild. There's a new identity of this, and Darwin Nunez is a huge part of that. He's very exciting. It is the movement. It is the chaos. It is the other elements of the players looking for him. The speed. Did you notice his pace in like the 80-something minute? That must be insane if you're a central defender, with him herring away from you and you're just trying to catch up with him. So he is so key to this, but then so is like Thiago, so many other players. What I'm saying is, this team is in transition, and it is a long way of putting it, but there are a lot of different cumulative factors which are currently adding up to where Liverpool are at. That would be incredibly frustrating for this Liverpool manager and the Liverpool supporters. But in time, I believe if you stick with Jurgen Klopp and this system, these things will come good. But I think in the next 12 months, Jurgen Klopp is going to be judged on a couple of things. Will he land his big signings? Because we know Liverpool make a very compelling pledge, commitment to the players who they want to sign. And how will the players that he currently has, like Nunez, and the players he's committed to, like Salah, continue to grow? Because there's an £80 million ceiling for Nunez, and there's a ceiling super high for Mo Salah. And he's still in it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd be interested to know what your thoughts are. I still think Liverpool got sucked into a bit of a 1-2-1-2 today, and I don't quite know why. There are unanswerable questions at Liverpool at the moment because the questions have to come to Jurgen Klopp, and at the moment, there is a sacred cow, I think, that Liverpool fans aren't willing to sacrifice. And that's the problem. In order to ask some of these questions, we have to actually sacrifice that cow. So it's kind of like, you know what? It's better to have faith in Klopp and these players than it is to tear them down, tear them apart and go, start again. Because no one feels that need to right now, and rightly so. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Or yeah, like maybe I'll do 2 videos tomorrow. I might do Arsenal in the morning and then United later in the day or something like that. Anyway, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and I'll chat to you later. Much love. Bye.